We can all learn to be a great real estate agent from tools and trainings and the endless classes and events that there are, but you need to have the mental capacity and the own will in your heart and in your mind to get up and go to work in the morning and to do the
Yeah.
things because you truly are a business owner. It's not
Yeah.
just selling houses. You're a business owner. You pay for all
Yeah.
the things. You're in charge of bringing that business to you.
Welcome to Mastering the Numbers. I'm your host, Joe Mallo. Today, my guest is Andrea Mapel. She is not just a realtor, she's also an entrepreneur. She worked for eXp Realty, and she's also the founder of Connect and Cultivate Cleveland. Andrea, thanks for taking part in my interview series.
Hey, Joe. Thank you. Thanks for having me on here. I'm excited to talk about all things real estate, business, entrepreneurship, and connect and cultivate.
Love it. Love it. Let's do it. Well, you know what, then how about if we just get started with this? How about if you share with the audience a little bit about, yourself, eXp Realty, and Connect and Cultivate Cleveland?
Yeah, perfect. So a little bit about me. I am a corporate marketing director turned realtor and entrepreneur. I have a passion for bringing people together. I always have. I strongly believe in collaborating to build your business through relationships. And I've been able to successfully build my real estate career around the people I build these relationships with. So that's kind of seamlessly combined with my newest business, which is the Connect and Cultivate Cleveland chapter. So I've been with eXp Realty for 5 years now, my whole real estate career. I have been at the amazing brokerage. It has just given real estate agents a different opportunity to make multiple streams of revenue. It's kind of the new way of the brokerage. We like to compare it to, when we used to go to Blockbuster. I'm sure you remember
I
Blockbuster, Joe.
do.
Sometimes I say that to people and they're like, I don't know what Blockbuster is. And I'm like, oh God, you're too young. But we like to say Blockbuster has turned into Netflix. The big box stores have turned into Amazon. That's kind of what eXp has done and really transformed the real estate brokerage into this amazing new opportunity for agents. It's given us a thing to look forward to. We always make the joke too, like you've never been to a real estate agent's retirement party because it's just, you never know because we're always, one more listing, one more listing, one more sale. But eXp has changed that for agents and the people who are doing the boots on the ground and given us a different opportunity. So that's a little bit about eXp Realty. Like I said, I have successfully grown my business over the last 5 years, and I was able to completely step away from my corporate job that I was in before and my full-time job that I started with in the real estate industry. Which brings me to Connect and Cultivate, which is what I started last year. It's a female professional collaboration group, I like to call it. Like I said, I really believe in collaborating with other professionals, even realtors. There's a lot of competition amongst real estate industry professionals and entrepreneurs alone. So I believe that we could get further together and we are stronger together. So why not put all of our skills and tools and knowledge together to grow each other's businesses and help each other grow and create those relationships with so many people in and outside of the industry and kind of go further together. So that's a little bit about Connect and Cultivate as well.
Okay, great. And there's definitely a synergy between eXp Realty and Connect and Cultivate Cleveland, right?
Yes, there is. One of eXp's um, core values is collaboration over competition.
Okay.
So that's what's another unique thing about eXp is that we are all one brokerage in the entire state of Ohio. Many other brokerages, you find multiple different brokerages in the same city, in the same state, especially. And everyone kind of answers to different people. We are one synergy brokerage in the entire state. So we all work together. So that really transforms into Connect and Cultivate because obviously that's what we are kind of built on.
Right. So like you mentioned, you were in the corporate world before, all right, when you started your career. Um, what prompted you to leave corporate and go out on your own?
Yeah, so I was before I was a corporate marketing director for a Harley Davidson franchise. So I always say I had like the coolest job in the world. I got to market motorcycles and I was surrounded by amazing people that were my customers, and I got to throw events on the weekends and it was just really fun. But it was my early 20s. I was fresh out of college. And I just realized like I am working myself to death. I was working every weekend because obviously that's when the dealerships were the busiest. That's when the events were. It really just, it wasn't fulfilling my why, what I really wanted to do. Paid the bills. It let me have a great start to my career after being in college for 4 years, but it just wasn't doing any more for me than that. I also just I met really amazing people in my early on in my real estate career who are still very close to me now. And I was like, oh my gosh, there is a different mindset in this industry, and especially the people I was surrounded with. You just in corporate, you may know Joe or other people may know that it's either male dominated or it's just, you're answering to people. There's always the higher ups. And it's just a completely different mindset than with entrepreneurs and people who want to grow together and who are building their businesses together.
I think it takes people much longer than it took you to realize, corporate world, they're gonna take every ounce of time away from you. It took me a lot longer
100%. Yeah. Yeah. I'm
than
grateful.
most.
I did step into a full-time position. So I still was still working 9 to 5, but now it was
Yeah,
9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I was still marketing, doing what I
yeah,
loved. And I got my life back a little bit, but then that's when I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My dad's
yeah.
an entrepreneur, my sister's an entrepreneur. Um, and it really opened my eyes up to running my own business. And I remember when I went to college for business and marketing, my dad was like, no, like go just put in your hours, get a retirement plan, this and that. And I was like, that's not me.
Right.
I want to work for myself. And now it's amazing because I've created a life by my design rather than somebody
Yeah,
else's.
yeah, exactly. So, what have been some of the biggest struggles or challenges along the way as you've been growing, not just your real estate business, but also Connect and Cultivate?
Yeah. So it's definitely scary, of course, being in, at the time, my mid-20s, stepping away from that guaranteed income, that guaranteed paycheck every 2 weeks, and taking that leap of faith. It was a lot of conversations with my husband. I'm like, am I going to do this? Like, do I think I can do this? And I really knew at the end of the day, if I don't have that money to know that it's coming in, I have no choice but to make it. I have no choice
Right.
but to be successful because we have a house, we have 2 kids, and all that. So I would say the biggest challenge is just overcoming that fear. But realizing that I could do it. Of course, in real estate, every transaction is different, and you deal with difficult customers, and managing the fluctuation. In 2020, we saw I could wake up and have a house sold and not even know about it.
Right.
It was easy. And I am fortunate for building my business during that time that 2024 was one of the worst real estate markets we've seen in a very long time. And I actually had my best year in real estate that
Yeah.
year because that was the first year I was only focused on my business. So I think that that's been one of the biggest challenges is just always planning for what's next because you truly never know. And then, of course, with Connect and Cultivate, it's also taking a risk. I'm going to start this, I'm going to try this, and hopefully people come to my events. Hopefully people show up and want to be involved. And fortunately, like starting something from scratch, those fears creep in and all of that. But I kept showing up and it's working out.
Yeah, you just have to put your head down and just push forward, right?
Yes.
Whether you're scared or not. So,
Absolutely.
looking at how you've grown both individual entities, is there anything you would have done differently in the growth of them?
I think that I would have focused on me a lot sooner. I know I got out of corporate and focused on myself in that sense. But I think that I would, don't get me wrong, my experiences have taught me so much and it's gotten me to where I am. And I'm so grateful for the challenges and the hardships. I think that if I could go back, I would have just realized not to be afraid. It's like you're afraid to
Right.
put yourself out there on social media. That was one of my biggest things. I'm like, my friends and family don't want to see all about my business, or like you have that imposter syndrome, or you feel like you're bragging or something like that. And finally, I've realized like I don't care if they don't want to see it, they can unfriend me, and other people
Right.
who are gonna buy or sell with me or join my organization are gonna find me and they're gonna like it and they're gonna join me and they're gonna follow me and all that and work with me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you don't want to see it, just avoid it.
Right.
So, uh, you have two things. I mean, you have a family, and you have the real estate side. You have the connect and cultivate. How do you maintain or even find any semblance of work life balance?
That was one of the biggest reasons that I wanted to get into real estate. And there's often always a common misconception about real estate is that you make your own schedule, you get big paychecks, and but what you don't see is the structure that you have to put into your business. And fortunately, I've been surrounded by incredible real estate and business coaches my whole career that I learned that early on. So if I take a vacation for a week, I know that the next, like somewhere along the lines, I'm going to feel that vacation. They
Right.
always say, you know, if you want to get busy, plan a vacation in real estate. I can't tell you how many times we have a cabin up in New York. I can't tell you how many times I'm like, I got to run back to the cabin and write an offer. And it's great, don't get me wrong, but other times when I completely shut myself off from work or I hand it over to other people or something, I feel that. So that's why it's very important. I'm very calendar focused as well. You got to wake up. You got to, if I want to, maintain my healthy lifestyle as well, I get up at 4:30 in the morning and I'm at the gym and back home by 6 o'clock typically, because then I have to get kids ready for school, fed, all of that, get them to school, come back and start my work day. And I have my to-do lists that I'm constantly checking off so that I know I'm still building my business, because when I want to take those vacations, I have to. And even on the weekends, like I said, everyone thinks it's such a great schedule. I'm showing houses on the weekends. I'm leaving a family dinner late or early and coming late, whatever it is, to get that in, because obviously clients need you when they need you.
Right.
But it's also very important to set boundaries. I don't answer my phone during dinner. I don't answer my phone typically after 8 o'clock unless they're like on a different time zone. And if I have something that's a non-negotiable in my calendar for my family or for whoever is important at that time, I schedule around it. I say I have an appointment. They don't need to know if it's an appointment with my sister at the winery or if it's a doctor's appointment or whatever it is.
Right. Exactly. There's never a perfect balance. I
Right.
always say that there's never 50-50. You just have to find the balance that works for you and your business and your family. So, um,
Absolutely.
so how do you maintain, once again, with all that's going on, how do you maintain your focus and your motivation to continue to grow?
I think that staying motivated and focused just comes down to my why. What is my why? Why am I doing this? And I hinted at that before, when I took the leap of going fully commission, betting on myself, betting on this new business, I just have to remember why I'm doing it. I like to travel. I like to go on these vacations, but I can't do that if I'm not selling houses if I'm not
Right.
building my business. Or if it's, something with the kids, I look at them every day and I'm like, they're counting on me. And I also want to build that foundation in them of, you go to work, this is what you do. It's actually crazy to me. I was talking to someone recently who has teenagers, and mine quite aren't quite there yet, but it's like these kids these days, like they don't want to go to work. They don't even want to get their driver's license. And I was like, I could not wait until I was 16 years old and I could get my driver's license. And I think I had my first real job at like 14. And before that, it was the
Yeah.
babysitting and this and that. And I just think it's really important to instill that mindset into kids, especially.
Yeah.
And ultimately my family and the lifestyle that I want to live is my why and
Yeah.
what my future holds.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, kids follow the lead, right? So what you're doing on a day-to-day basis and, for work and for the family, they'll usually pick up on and they'll do the same
Yeah,
things. So if you work
absolutely.
hard, they'll know that, I mean, that gets instilled in them.
Hmm.
So I agree. So what are some of the biggest changes you see happening in the real estate world?
So, like I said, last year was it was a huge change compared to, we saw it coming over the last couple of years, but ultimately we're never going to see the 2% interest rates that we saw during the COVID time. And at that time, houses, like I said, houses are selling like crazy. Um, but now nobody wants to sell their house because they're not going to buy a house for a huge increased
Right.
interest rate. So that's something that I see as far as like the real estate market itself. We're just really struggling getting inventory because people aren't moving unless they really have to. A lot, I think on the flip side of that, a lot of first time home buyers are kind of realizing that we're not going to see those interest rates anymore. So they kind of have to just bite the bullet and take the
Yeah.
6-7% interest rate. Um, which to be honest with you is a pretty normal market, maybe slightly above, but it's not what we saw when in like the 80s when they were 13%. So but also what I see in the real estate industry and what I'm really trying to instill is that mindset of collaborating and innovating. We have these other opportunities and more brokerages are coming out that are trying to essentially imitate what eXp has created. And it's just a huge opportunity. I think a lot more people getting into the workforce now are going towards entrepreneurship,
Mhm.
and you need to have an exit plan. So I think that's something that is going to really change the landscape of the real estate brokerage type concept as a whole. Also, is you know how can I make multiple streams of revenue? I'm not only tied to my commission check because I get money from my brokerage for when people join me at eXp Realty. I'm allowed to have a second business on the side that attracts people to work with
Right.
me in multiple ways because I'm creating the business relationships with other professionals. That way, if they have somebody that needs to buy or sell a house, I'm who they think of. And then it also attracts real estate agents to want to join my organization because then they get this whole collaboration of fun things, business collaborating events that we're doing with Connect and Cultivate.
Yeah, that makes sense. So to take a little bit further from the collaboration and everything else, how do you? I mean, there's a lot of realtors out there. We all know that.
Right.
How do you stay ahead of the competition? How do you stay? I guess that's it. How do you stay ahead of the
Yeah.
competition?
Yeah. I think what I have really, it's all about portraying your value, obviously. We always say that it's not the best realtor, it's the best marketer who is going to get ahead in real estate. Fortunately, that allowed my background in marketing to really help me because I can market your property differently. I do the extra digital marketing that other people don't know how to do. If you ask a random person to run a Facebook ad, they're going to have no idea where to even start. I fortunately have that background that's allowed me to become a heavily listing focused agent. because I know how to expose your property to the most amount of people. I always say I want everyone to come to the party. People think it sounds great selling your property off market, but it's like, well, if you would have brought 15 more offers to the table, you could have increased your price. So it's really
Yeah.
about portraying your value and how you are different than the average agent. I'm not just sticking your a sign in the front yard and hoping it sells, because that's not what's happening. So it's really exposing that property and creating those, the relationships and the consistency, staying in front of people. I always like to say, like, you could go to any of my social media pages and see what I enjoy doing. I just
Yeah.
went skiing. We ride motorcycles in the summer. We do travel, this and that, but you're never going to forget that I'm a real estate agent. And you're never going to forget about Connect and Cultivate either, how you could get involved.
Yeah. Yeah. And I noticed that just going through, your LinkedIn profile and your website before we jumped on today. So
Yeah.
I like it.
Well,
So where do you see your business in the next year to 3 years?
so, I mean, obviously, I'm always working on growing my real estate business and Connect and Cultivate. I think that they're both going to continue to work hand in hand. I was fortunate to have seen such growth in my business last year and start a new business at the same time. So I would love to see now Connect and Cultivate double in size this year. It would be really ambitious of me to say that I want to double my real estate business from last year this year, but hey, I'm always looking for growth.
Yeah.
So I do hope, at least push towards it. I don't know about doubling it, but um, I mean, I think that we're just going to continue to grow. I think that I really want to just show more people that there is a better way to be an entrepreneur, to be in
Yeah.
business for yourself, to be in real estate, and get more people around me that are like-minded.
It's more fun when you have more people that are like minded. Where you can, like you said, I
Absolutely.
mean, I do a lot of collaborating as well. Do a lot of networking. It's a great way to when you have issues to reach out to people that have gone through it, which
Right.
is which is why we do the podcast as well. So, final two questions, and then I'll let you go. I
Sure.
promise. Um, if you ran into somebody that was wanting to start their own business, but they're maybe they're just a little bit scared to do it, what would you tell them?
I actually just got asked this for a magazine shoot, and the best thing I could think of was all good things start small, and just don't be
10:57
afraid
a.m.
to do it. You, like I said, if I could go back, I just wish I wasn't so afraid. I don't care anymore what other people think of me.
Right.
And you just have to take the risk. I've managed to take a risk on two different businesses and it's paid off. And I think
Yeah.
another thing is have a coach, have a mentor. I think everyone needs a coach in life, whatever
Yeah.
your goals are at that time, whether it's fitness, business, mental, anything, that I think you need a coach, because I'm also a firm believer in like not recreating the wheel. I know that I could do a lot of things on my own, but it's like, well, if it's already been done, why don't I just pay somebody to teach me how to do it? And I'm going to end up saving money and, most importantly, time.
Okay.
So those are probably my two biggest things:
Okay.
is don't be afraid and have somebody that you can learn from on a constant
Yeah.
basis.
I like that advice a lot. So final question, same similar scenario. You run into someone who's a couple years in business, they're struggling, they're stressed, they're thinking about bailing out on it. What advice would you give them?
I would say, kind of similar, kind of goes hand in hand with the other one. Find somebody who's done it and learn from them. Because there are hard times. I had just met with an agent recently, and she's like, "I'm just really struggling. Like, I think I'm reconsidering my career in real estate." And again, to what I was saying before, is that people think real estate is like this big glamorous, create your own schedule, paychecks, and get rich quick. It's not. It takes a lot of work and a lot of structure in your life. And I think that is one of the most important things is what are you doing to move the needle, to move your business in the direction that you want it to be, to get to your end goal. And I think that, in my experience in the past as a team lead, I'm like, I had a lot of agents who depended on me and I loved it and it was great. But then those new agents, some of them, if they don't have the right mindset, I think one of that's a big thing in real estate too, is if you're a new agent, join a team because you have no idea what you're doing and you're just kind of thrown to the wolves. And you don't know where to get started, and you need to have a mentor that you can count on and really teach you this is what you should be doing on a day-to-day basis. This
Yeah.
is how you get new clients. But what I was saying is, we can all learn to be a great real estate agent from tools and trainings and the endless classes and events that there are. But you need to have the mental capacity and the own will in your heart and in your mind to get up and go to work in the morning and to do the
Yeah.
things because you truly are a business owner. It's not
Yeah.
just selling houses. You're a business owner. You pay for all
Yeah.
the things. You're in charge of bringing that business to you. You can't sell yourself on somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's critical to have a mentor walking you through things, having other business owners that have been there, been there, done that. I think that's critical because as you probably know, just from having other people in your organization, the overwhelming majority of business owners will not ask for help. They,
Right.
they feel that um, they feel that it's a bad look for them.
Yeah,
Do you find
absolutely.
that as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've even found myself sometimes, I'm like, earlier on, it was like, well, let me just figure it out. And I'm very much like a quick learner, like show me something once and I'm probably going to remember it and not, or I'll figure it out and I'll just double check myself.
Yeah.
But again, going back to that, it's going to save you more time and more money to not, to recreate the wheel. Find somebody that you can count on that is going to help you.
Yeah. You just have to. Andrea, listen, I really appreciate you taking part of this interview series. It was great talking with you and learning
Yeah.
more about your businesses. If anybody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way?
Yeah, so my website is homewithandrea.net. Multiple resources on there, obviously, for buying and selling, but also about Connect and Cultivate. I'm also on Instagram as Hey Andrea Mapel. That's Mapel, so it is maple leaf, but spelled wrong. And then we're also on Instagram at connectandcultivate.cle. So those are probably the easiest ways, and you can find my more contact information on both those sites.
Perfect. Well, listen, once again, thank you very much for participating. And as we wrap up this, I'd also like to thank my marketing team, Alyssa and Lisa, for making these podcasts look really great. They're with Check Off Your List in Columbus, Ohio. Thank you, and everybody out there listening
So
and watching. Thank you for participating as well. And we'll catch you on the next episode of Mastering the Numbers. Take care.
thanks, Joe.
You've just tuned into another episode of Mastering the Numbers. We hope you found valuable insight to boost your financial success. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform and leave us a review. Keep pushing forward, and thanks for listening.